Welcome to Quickshots.
Welcome to the Quickshots with your favourite cousins, James and Alex Fitzgerald, where we answer your questions. Alex, you are going to take the first one here. We've got one from Saeed. He asks, is it better to use a 10% deposit on a property, or should I use more if I've got the money?
Ooh. First thing I would say is don't use all of your money. Always keep a bit of a rainy day fund. So whatever you're buying, own home, investment property, make sure you got a little bit left after you've settled. Now, two ways to answer this question. If you're buying your own home, I believe it's really good practice to put down a 20% deposit, right? Your own home, it's not tax deductible debt, and you're pretty much responsible for that yourself. Perhaps if you've got a partner and one or two other share house people paying your rent, that's great. But that is your sort of self-funded debt, if you will. So try to keep it as low as you can and use the 20%. Now, skirting over, if you're buying an investment property, I would try to go for the 10%. And this is because the lender's mortgage insurance that you will pay, and it will also be capped onto your debt. So you actually don't fork it out necessarily of your back pocket, but it is tax deductible debt. And by the time you actually amortize it over the 30 years, it's not a lot. I think people look at it in a chunk and they go, oh, I hate lender's mortgage insurance. It's actually not that bad. But of course, do your numbers. Make sure you're comfortable with whatever decision you make. But I would say 10% for the investment property, because if you've got some money left to go over, you might be able to get into a second one a little bit sooner. And you might be able to, do a bit more smarter things with your cash in the short term if you can maximize leverage. This is one I'm getting a lot at the moment, Kaz, so I'm going to throw to you. This is from Alita. She said, do you think the floods occurring so soon after the last floods, I mean, it's, what is it, 9 years, will affect the price of homes that have flooded?
I think short term it will. The good thing is, though, you can do flood searches through the Queensland government and probably the New South Wales government as well. So you can get an idea of how high the flood line got in 2011, and I'm sure in time they'll be able to tell you in 2022. However, most people should have had insurance and should be able to hopefully not just repair their home, but in fact do preventative measures to get their home above the flood line. That should be possible and a way to protect the value of those homes. Inevitably, though, there's going to be some short-term hurt. I think the biggest impact is going to be on insurance premiums. I think all throughout Australia, the premiums will go up. It will be very hard to insure your property if it's not located above the flood line, if it's one of those properties. So I wouldn't go anywhere near them. They're unfortunately, it's just going to be too much cash flow from an investment point of view. In time, sure, it will look after itself, and hopefully people will see this time the floods as an opportunity to prevent the flood having an impact on their home again. I think a few people at the end of 2011 said, well, it's a 1 in 100 year flood. I'm just going to do some cosmetic fixes. Whereas I think this time people will say, no, I've got to literally get my house above the flood line this time around and use my insurance monies to do that. I think the bigger impact, though, will be on cash flow rather than values personally.
Absolutely.
I'll go to you on the next one. Mitch has asked, Dodgy Mitch, how do I earn more money? That sounds dodgy and planted.
Geez, good thing we don't get last names on these cues.
Off the record.
Okay, so how do I make more money? Well,
Off the record.
this has come in from anonymous scale. No, so look, I think really, and I'm going to say this, I have the balls to say this. It is easy today. It's easier than it's ever been to go out and make more money. If you're willing to do it, if you're willing to work after hours, if you're willing to work on the weekend, it is the easiest time ever. I said it. First and foremost, the path of least resistance is to go to your current employer, your current boss, and say, listen, and I'm not saying, hey, whack me up with a pay increase unless you haven't had a review in like 2 or 3 years. But say, hey, I want to earn more money. What are some odd jobs or additional jobs that I can do today that can see me get a bigger pay packet at the end of the month? that is a noble question because you're not only saying, hey, I want to make more money, but you're also saying, I'm willing to work for that extra money, right? And if you are trying to get a bit of a pay increase, make sure you're always quantifying it. This is how much I do of this per week. Numbers, numbers, numbers. It's all about numbers. I learned that the hard way at a relatively young age when asking for a pay rise. Okay, second thing is Airtasker and Facebook Marketplace. These are where side hustles thrive. I was talking to Joel in our office the other day, and I thought this was awesome. Last year, he wanted to make a little bit more money, knowing that the property market was running and he could get a first home buyer's grant. If he saved enough money, he could get in now and he wouldn't miss out. So I said, well, what did you do, mate? He said, I put my services on Facebook Marketplace offering to cut people's trees. I said, wow, have you cut trees before? Did you do that back at home? He's like, never done it in my life. He listed it.
Wow.
He said he got 4 bookings immediately, got them to pay a 10% deposit each, and he went and bought the tools he needed from Bunnings. I said, mate, I got to commend you. That is really noble, really cool. He goes, it was awesome. I managed to save about $6,000 in 2 months. I was working every weekend though. I was absolutely knackered, and I won't be going back to that until I need to. But it's good to know I could have done it. All he did was set it up on Facebook Marketplace. They don't charge you a thing. So I thought, that's unbelievable. And the other thing is Airtasker. If you've never heard of it, you probably haven't been paying attention because they are going rogue on their marketing at the moment, which is cool. Airtasker, people post odd jobs and you can bid on what you will basically do them for. I use it all the time for odd jobs because, quite frankly, my partner cannot use a hammer if his life depended on it. So I've got to hang up TVs or put stuff around. It's gone straight on Airtasker. And the last thing I'd say is when you start making all of this money, don't be crazy. Don't get crazy, okay? Have a little regimented savings program. As the bulletproof investor, aka you, Kaz, likes to say, put a little regimented savings in and make sure you're saving at least 10% of your pay every time you get paid. And as you start to create that really good habit, beef it up a little bit. Any other things to add on to that one, Kaznito?
No, great answer. Good idea. And yeah, I think if you go in and ask your employer, how can I save you money or make you more money? That's ultimately going to be a pretty easy conversation if you can find a way to do that to get paid more.
That's a good one.
Good questions today. Thank you to everyone who sent one in. If you have a question, our emails are in the show notes, our doubleshot.podcast Instagram handle as well. We get a lot through there. Have a great week. We hope you enjoyed and talk to you soon.
Ole, 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 ole. Ole. You can fade this out, Nick. Ole. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, ole. It's getting hot, hot, hot. Thanks for listening to another episode of The Double Shot with your favourite cousins, Alex and James Fitzgerald. If you've got a burning question or something we absolutely need to talk about on the pod, please write to us. Both of our emails are in the show notes. For little real estate tidbits and a little bit of banter, okay, a lot of banter, you can follow us on the gram. Our handle is thedoubleshot.podcast. That, my friends, is thedoubleshot.podcast. Until next time, think of us when you sit back and sip your next double shot.